Welcome back to the House of Wellness. Speech Pathology Week kicks off today, and to shine a light on an issue that affects more than 1 million Australians, and here to tell us more about it is speech pathologist Kate Brigman, along with the winner of the season 2 of The Voice, Harrison Craig. Welcome, guys. Thanks for joining us. And Kate, can I start with you? We saw you treating your own son who developed a stutter completely out of the blue. Why does that happen? Why do speech impediments occur in the first place?
Sure. So in terms of stuttering, we actually don't really know the cause of stuttering. We know that there's a genetic element. We know that children often actually speaking fluently until they're about 2 or 3. They start to put their words together in sentences, and then some children will start stuttering. But in terms of other difficulties like speech, language, not speaking, hearing impairment, sometimes that's from birth. Sometimes we're just not sure why there's something developmentally different about children. And then at the end of life, we've got people after they've had a stroke or maybe a car accident or a progressive neurological disease like a Parkinson's disease. And then sadly, their communication will deteriorate with time.
So what are some of the most common types of impediments do we see?
Yeah, sure.
And is there a difference between speech and voice?
Sure. So voice is actually the sound that's coming through the vocal folds. A speech pathologist would say speech is the sounds that we make. So we use our lips and our tongue and our teeth. And then language is the words that we use. And so what's important to remember is it's also about what we can hear and understand and comprehend, what we can learn. And so a lot of communication and speech pathology work isn't so much about what comes out of our mouth, but it's how much we learn, understand, and then people with kind of TBIs or difficulties, how much they can remember and recall.
Harrison, your story is such a great story. You discovered that your stutter disappeared when you sang, and you've been able to go on and be an award-winning, much-loved entertainer. Can you tell us a bit about how you discovered that?
Yeah, well, look, as my mum would recall it, it was probably around 2 or 3, years old when I started to string those words together, and she really noticed it. And then, we undertook some speech pathology fairly soon after that. And, from there on, it's been something that I've needed to manage and, kind of retrain yourself, to talk in a sense, which is a strange thing to verbally
work on.
Yeah, I mean, it's just really incredible.
The fact that you were able to sing without a stutter, was that ever explained to you how that works? What's the difference between what's the brain's processing, or what's happening there? Do you know? Yeah, well, look, I mean, you would be the one to actually correct me if I'm wrong. But from my understanding, it's a different type of brainwave that you have when you perform. So when you get on, to wherever and you put on a voice or anything like that, it's totally different to when you actually talk normally, which is amazing. Oh, and what an incredibly freeing thing for you to discover that. And can I say, you're such an inspiration for so many people who might have to live with stuttering or various impediments. It was pretty brave of you to put yourself out there.
It was interesting because kids, they asked me, what was it like when you walked on, to perform for the first time? And I thought to myself, I just, really don't want to trip on stage. So that was, my speaking was the furthest thing from my mind. But yeah, that is one of those things that you need to try and remember and think, okay, stay calm. It's all in a day's work. Roll out there. You've got this.
Kate, you mentioned that you were happy now that your son was good now that he's about to start school. Do you think there's a stigma or a judgment attached with speech issues?
Yeah, look, we certainly know, particularly for kids, if there's any form of difference, then that kind of puts them at risk of being identified by their peers. So whether it's stuttering, whether it's a sound, whether they look a bit different, they wear glasses, whether mum and dad live in a different house, so anything about a child that makes them different, that does put them at risk of being teased or bullied or just people kind of commenting. And I think that's something that we all are trying to protect our kids and ultimately try with early intervention to really do as much as we can before the kids do start school, because school can be a tricky place.
And it's such a crucial thing that first year you're establishing your sense of self. It's a really precious moment. Harrison, I remember I interviewed you when you were on The Voice a long time ago, and it's a delight to see you again. Your speech is so smooth now. Do you feel like you've overcome your stutter?
Look, it's one thing you have to manage, I think, you know, and it's about knowing that you can do it, and that support network as well. You know, for example, my mum and my family, you know, my friends, have been huge supporters of mine. You know, and going through The Voice too, that was a great thing to just, you know, be able to have that support there. But even when you're walking around, travelling, you just know that you can do it. You know, you've had that support there, and that's the most important thing.
And now you've written some children's books.
Yes.
Tell us about those.
Well, it's been great. I mean, I actually flew back this week from regional New South Wales, where I was actually reading the book, touring through there, and you know, the kids are just fantastic.
So it's about stuttering, though.
Yeah, it's about my journey,
Okay.
and I guess learning to overcome that, I guess, trouble of talking through music, and that's really powerful for me. And when I talk about that, you know, the kids, you don't even need to, you know, be talking in a language that they understand. They can read what you're feeling, and they go, yeah, I understand that, and you know, I want that too. So it's really beautiful.
Harrison and Kate, thanks so much for coming in and sharing both of your stories. We really appreciate it on the House of Wellness, and always great to see people overcoming challenges as you have done. Coming up, we unlock the myths surrounding the CrossFit exercise regime, and Heinzie unearths the goodness of the mighty mushroom.